Here is the full script rewritten with corrected grammar, spelling, and American English, all events and length preserved. The line was crossed before the first glass clinked. Stand behind everyone, she hissed, fingers digging into my wrist, nails sharp enough to draw attention. Don't make me look bad. Behave yourself. I stepped back because the room was already watching. Silence pulled between us, thick as spilled oil. I felt the shift, the exact second a marriage becomes a performance. Her smile snapped on for the crowd. Mine stayed neutral. Neutral has always been my armor. The doors opened. Everything after that was inevitable. The ballroom glowed with curated success. Crystal chandeliers. Linen so white it looked untouched by human hands. The hum of money pretending to be conversation. Executives laughing too loud. Spouses smiling too hard. Everyone angled toward power like flowers toward light. My wife thrived here. She moved through the room as if it owed her space. Introductions rolled off her tongue like rehearsed apologies. She was a senior director now. Rising star. A woman who had learned how to step on backs without scuffing her heels. I was the accessory, the quiet husband, the one she corrected mid-sentence, the one she introduced last. She left me where she told me to stand, half a step behind the other spouses near a marble column. Out of frame, out of threat. I watched her from there. Watched how she laughed at jokes she'd heard 100 times. Watched her hand linger on men who controlled budgets. Watched the way she didn't look back. The room held its breath when the announcement came. The new CEO had arrived. A ripple moved through the crowd. Shoulders straightened, smiles sharpened. My wife turned, champagne already in hand, ready to deliver the version of herself she'd perfected for moments like this. The doors opened again, and the world tilted. She entered without spectacle. No entourage, no hurry, just presence, the kind that doesn't need permission. Conversations died mid-syllable. People moved without realizing they were moving. She didn't look at my wife. She looked past her, straight at me. Her face changed. Not surprise, recognition. Something deeper, something unfinished. She walked toward me as if the room didn't exist. I never stopped searching for you, she said. Her voice cracked on the last word. The sound of shattering glass cut through the silence. Champagne hit marble and exploded. My wife's hand trembled. Her smile collapsed. Around us, everyone froze, unsure which script they were supposed to follow now. I didn't move. I met the CEO's eyes and nodded. There are moments when memory doesn't arrive gently. It crashes, floods, drowns the present. She was my past, not a fling, not a mistake. She was the woman I built a company with in a windowless office while eating cheap noodles and sleeping under desks. She was the one who believed in me before belief had returns. And she was the one who vanished. At least, that's what I'd been told. My wife had told me she'd taken the money and run. That she'd left without warning. That she'd chosen ambition over us. I believed it because betrayal is easier to swallow when it has a villain. The CEO's eyes held answers I hadn't known I was missing. I looked for you, she said softly. But you were gone. My wife laughed, a sharp, brittle sound. I think there's been a misunderstanding. The CEO finally turned to her. Not dismissive. Worse, curious, like she was looking at an unlocked door. There hasn't, she said. Then back to me, we need to talk. My wife's fingers tightened around the empty stem of her glass. I felt it then, the quiet snap inside. The soundless breaking of something that had been bending for years. The bond died without drama. I followed the CEO. That night, I didn't confront my wife. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't ask questions. I listened. I learned. My wife had intercepted messages, redirected emails, framed absences. She had watched a partnership fracture and stepped neatly into the gap. She married me 6 months later, comforted me, rewrote history. I had been grieving a betrayal that never happened. The CEO, then my partner, had been searching for a ghost she thought had chosen to disappear. I slept in silence. Beside a stranger who breathed like someone entitled to everything. By morning, I had a plan. Revenge doesn't begin with action. It begins with patience. I became invisible. Agreeable, apologetic. The man she thought she had trained. While she climbed, I adjusted the ropes. I updated documents she hadn't read since signing. Shifted ownership percentages she'd never questioned. Restored communications she thought were erased. Time has a way of preserving truth when you know where to look. I met the CEO privately. We spoke in facts, evidence, paper trails. She listened. She remembered who I was. We didn't rush. We waited. The first thing I took wasn't public. It was her access. Her assistant couldn't log into the executive system. Then her calendar stopped syncing. Then approvals stalled. She blamed IT. Snapped at staff, smiled through clenched teeth at meetings where she no longer spoke first. I watched from the corner, silent, observant. The second thing I took was her credibility. Reports surfaced. Not accusations, discrepancies. Small enough to ignore individually. Too many to dismiss collectively. Questions followed her like shadows. She came home late, stressed, defensive. If I knew anything, I said nothing. The third thing was her allies. One by one, they distanced themselves. Lunches cancelled. Calls unanswered. Seats filled without her. Power doesn't disappear loudly. It leaks. By the time she realized she was drowning, everyone else was already dry. The board meeting was scheduled for a Tuesday. She wore red, confidence armor. She didn't look at me when she took her seat. The CEO stood, spoke calmly, presented facts, emails, dates, signatures. My wife's name appeared on the screen more than anyone else's. Her voice shook when she tried to interrupt. No one let her. I didn't testify. I didn't need to. Truth doesn't require witnesses when it's documented. She was placed on leave pending investigation. She didn't cry until we reached the elevator. You did this, she whispered. I looked at the numbers ticking down. No, I said. You did. The final confrontation came at home. She packed in silence, then rage. I built my life around you, she said. You built it on me, I replied. She sank onto the bed, small, reduced. The woman who once told me where to stand now didn't know where to sit. I never meant to hurt you. I knelt in front of her. Precise. You never meant to get caught. She looked up at me then. Really looked, and understood. I stood, left her the house, the furniture, the echoes. I took my name back. Weeks later, I stood beside the CEO at a smaller gathering. No chandeliers, no champagne. She smiled at me, genuine this time. We build it right, she said. I nodded. Because revenge isn't about destruction. It's about restoration. The room felt different when people looked at me now. Not past me, not through me, at me. Respect isn't demanded. It's reclaimed. And I will never stand behind anyone again.